Hi guys, Any, aka the NocTrader, and I'm here for my very first episode of Pip Talk Podcast. I'm here with a very special guest. He's a serial entrepreneur, a Forex trader, former software engineer, A1 trader, and an A1 guy.
You know your
TraderNick.
stuff. What's up, man? How are you
Eh,
doing?
I'm good, thanks. How did you find that intro?
Oh, that was perfect. That was better than I would have done.
Cheers. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know we
So
did this. We did this. I don't know. It seems like almost a year ago, or maybe not that
yeah,
long, but it
nearly a
was
year ago.
8 months
Yeah,
ago. We got on a
yeah.
podcast together. So how have you been?
I've been great, man. How have you been? I see your meteoric rise to YouTube success.
Yeah,
But how's it been going in general?
it's been going really well, man. It's been crazy on YouTube and just as you know, with all the stuff going on in markets right now, we've got
Yeah.
plenty to talk about there as well. Lots of chaos, lots of craziness.
Oh
So
yeah,
between the trading and the YouTube, things are busy, but things
yeah.
are good. So how are things on your end?
Yeah, it's been going really well. I've just been my trading's been going really well, but it's been quite interesting because when my trading's been going really well, I've kind of left my content creation to a little bit of a once a week and stuff. But in all other aspects, it's been really good. Trading's been good. Building a community slowly. Got some great guys on my community, and also just been trying to keep myself going with this with the situation we're at home right now. But
Yeah, yeah.
before we get into it, I gave you a little bit of intro, but I want you to, for people who don't know who you are, just a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Nick, and on YouTube, I guess people know me as TraderNick. I am a Forex trader. I'm also a stock market investor, and I'm an entrepreneur. I've got a business. I've actually got a couple businesses that I run. And basically, I've been doing YouTube for maybe a year and a half, and I've been trading for maybe, I'd say 4 or 5 years now. I first started out with stocks back in the day. My dad was a big stock market investor, and he still is too today. Kind of got me interested in
All right.
stocks, and I started taking a
Yeah.
look at it. And over time, started making my first deposits. Started trading and investing in stocks. Definitely made a lot of mistakes
Yeah.
along the way, but for the most part, it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot of stuff going through the markets, and I've made a lot of failures and made a lot of successes. But overall, currency trader, stock trader, and entrepreneur. So
Yeah, that's great. Actually, it's funny you said that because we have quite a lot of similarities in our journey. My dad was actually he's a big investor and trader as well, and he was the one that got me into it. From young, from about 16, I wanted him to teach me. He said, "If I teach you now, you're never going to go to college." And in hindsight, now I understand why he didn't want to teach me then, because it's quite addictive pursuit, and you can forget about everything else once you start when you start going down that journey. So it's probably a wise move to not learn until, well, not to actually start going real world trading until a little bit later on.
yeah,
Um,
it's very true. I mean, the thing about markets and trading and investing in general, some people really, they're not, that's not like their passion. They don't want to spend all their
yeah,
time about it. But if you are the kind of person that loves this stuff, it's like
yeah,
it's with you for good. I feel like I couldn't
trust me.
shake it if I wanted to. I've been doing this for years and devoted a lot of my time and energy to this stuff because it is
Mm,
absolutely, it is addictive, and it's addictive in a good way if you know how
yeah,
to control some of
yeah, yeah,
the pitfalls, I guess. But
yeah.
it's a skill that you can use for your whole life, and it is it's something that they don't talk about in school enough. They don't talk about how to actually grow money that you have into more money so that you can do the things you want to do in life.
Yeah, but we're supposed to be worker bees, aren't we? That's why they don't teach that stuff.
That's true.
um, and you studied, what did you study in university? Well, you said study software engineering, right?
Yep. So I had a 4 year degree in computer science,
Yeah,
programming,
yeah,
software
yeah,
engineering, and I ended
yeah.
up going off and working for it. Wasn't I didn't last long. I worked um, in as a consultant for
Yeah.
maybe 4 or 5 months before quitting, and
Oh, okay.
it's kind of funny because back in that time I remember I was getting training. I was getting trained at one of my the events for the company, and I told one of my friends there. I told him, hey, I've got a YouTube channel, and hey, subscribe for it. Subscribe to it if you're interested in investing or trading or whatever. And because he had mentioned, I'm interested in the stock market, and so I shared it with them. And at that point, I think I had like 1,800 subscribers. I had like a relatively young YouTube channel, and it was smaller. And a couple of the people there were like, "Oh, that's a fun hobby, but you wouldn't try and like make that a living, would you?" And I was like, I don't know. I mean, maybe not. And I told him, I trade and I invest, and I'm interested in making content for people. And it was just funny looking back on that time. It was 4 or 5 months later. I quit. I left and did this stuff full time. So.
Yeah, nah, it's always an interesting thing when you tell employers about your side hustles that you have a passion for, because sometimes it's a bit of a weird one because some of them are supportive, some of them are like, how dare you have aspirations outside of your 9 to 5.
And I made that mistake big time because when I told that person, sure enough, that person told other people. They're like, "Yo, you go check out his YouTube," and I'm like, no, that was. Because I didn't tell, I told one person, and that was one person too many. So
but with the forex trading, you've built a pretty big community, really big following. Obviously, a lot of them see you as a mentor or someone to learn from. I thought it would be an interesting question to ask. What have you learned from the people in your community? Because a lot of times it looks like it's a one-way street, but in reality, in my experience, some of the guys in my community have actually taught me some stuff that I didn't know, and it's been quite of a symbiotic relationship in some way.
Absolutely, I'm sure you've learned a lot of the same lessons that I have just through your community. And you mentioned you've got a couple good people that you've met. The sad reality is when you're working with a lot of people, you get a couple good ones and a lot of not great ones. People who are. They want you to give them the answer on a silver platter. And that's one of the biggest things that I've learned. Like you said, it's a two-way street. It certainly is. Being able to interact with so many traders, we receive hundreds of emails and DMs and messages daily just from people who are asking stuff and they're interested. And you do get some people who are very, very dedicated, and they're willing to work, and they're willing to, they join the services that we offer, not to be given an easy answer, but to learn and work and trade alongside the rest of us that are out there, busting it. And that's the thing is you get those people, but unfortunately you get a lot of people who want that quick and easy answer. And the quick and easy answer in trading it doesn't really exist. There's nothing there's not like a one strategy fits all that's just going to make you print money, unfortunately, right? So many people are out there selling that dream. And so when they come to a service like ours where we're like, that's not how it is, they don't know what to think. So they're like, where's the easy answer? Where's the easy buy in, sell out, make money really quickly solution? So we do get a lot of those people. So I've learned that, a lot of people are impatient. A lot of people are not dedicated, but to be fair, as maybe not mean as it sounds, but maybe as truthful as it sounds, is because that's how so many people think. That, in my opinion, is why there are opportunities in the markets. There are so many people who want the quick dollar. Go ahead.
Sorry, they're the ones providing liquidity to the market. I always say that the people that are the get rich quick guys are the people that are allowing us to close our positions out, because they're the ones buying from us when it's buying when it's too high and shorting when it's too low.
That's a good point. There's a lot of people out there who are impatient with the markets. There are a lot of people who they make the same mistakes over and over because they can't shake the I want to get rich really quickly syndrome, if you will. There's definitely a lot of that. There's people who but on the flip side, there's a lot of people out there who are serious about this. And the kind of cool thing about content creation that you've probably seen, I'm sure, with some of the people in your group, is when you are out there speaking, what you believe is the truth about markets. If you're actually telling the truth about your experiences and your opinions of the market, you start to attract people who are not the get rich quick type. So with the content that you produce, you attract the kind of people that you're talking to, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. But let's turn it a little bit. Let's get a bit nerdy. Okay, so how has your strategy changed since the recent uh what should I call it? The Roro or the
Roni.
I don't know. Roni, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't want to get demonetized.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. It's interesting because during, so if we're getting into the technicals of what's
Yeah,
going on, the trading side of it.
yeah,
So during all of this, my strategies have not really changed. What has changed, however, I trade a couple different strategies. So I don't trade just one personally. I
yeah,
have
okay,
a couple different ones, which to a new trader, I don't recommend. I usually recommend,
yeah,
stick to
yeah,
one, get good at one, and
okay,
but recently, different strategies have performed differently than usual. So some of my trend following, continuation, hold on to your winner sort of strategies have
yeah,
done excellent during this. Because if you catch a short on the
yeah,
S&P right now and it keeps going and you hold that for 2 weeks, then that's some really serious wins that you could have, right?
yeah,
On the contrary, some of my reversal strategies have been performing a lot
yeah,
less effective. The thing
yeah,
is, though, the other thing that I've adapted or changed in this time is usually when we get this stretch of volatility, when we get this
yeah,
incredibly, changed volatility levels where we see
yeah,
movements that are just, much bigger than usual, I will usually accompany that with a smaller position size. So
okay,
recently, on almost every trade that I've been taking, I've halved it. So I've taken
yeah,
it and I've cut it in half so that I am less exposed to all of this craziness. Because the reality is, we just don't know what's going
yeah,
to happen next. We have
yeah.
speculation, we have opinions, but we don't have any facts until they hit the news
Yeah.
and then the market goes flying one way or the other.
So when you half your position, do you also allow move your stop loss, give it more breathing room, or do you still keep your stop loss the same? Are you trying to half your position size so that your stop loss can still be the same amount of monetary value, or are you just trying to make sure the stop loss is where it was going to be anyway, but it's just half the value as well?
So it depends the strategy really, because I
Okay.
have some strategies, for example, that don't have a target. They don't have a take
Okay.
profit on them. So it's
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
I take the trade, I've got to stop in it, and I'm trying to run it and trying to let
Yeah.
it
Okay.
go. In that case, so I don't change the distance from the stop loss. So I'm just changing the position size so
Okay.
that the losses, because the volatility is so high, they can swing all around. You could take
Yeah.
easily 5 losses in a row if you're not
Yeah.
careful.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Okay.
so I'm keeping the position size smaller with the position distance from that
Yeah.
stop usually about the same.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Personally, my my strategies because I'm a swing trader, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
and normally I'm trying to hold my positions for maybe a week, maybe even a month. But I've kind of cut it. I've almost become a day trader because, as you said, the volatility in the market is so much, and it's so much more fundamentally driven right now because of the situation in the market that I don't feel comfortable taking a position and then just going away and then returning a week later and realize it's gone the other way because of something gone on the news with the Roni. So like I've just had to I still employ the same strategy but on a shorter time frame, and then also still look for swings, but then also stay more abreast of the fundamentals as well. Like yeah, for example, just seeing how things are played out historically. I think there's like a dead cat bounce is something that I think is going to happen with the equities market because um, when such a big sell off is like this, you never normally see it just make a V-shaped recovery as they talk about in the news a lot. I can't expect a V-shaped recovery when you're looking outside and the shops are closing. So you're going to probably see a retesting of the support a couple of times before it starts making a slow recovery.
Yeah, I
But I don't
tend
know how
to.
that mixes with the forex market.
Yeah, so usually the way, at least from what I see, is usually when the stock market goes crazy, the currency market volatility does as well.
Mm.
It doesn't necessarily mean that the US dollar goes down decisively every time.
Yeah,
It does quite often, that tends to be the case, but it's more just that volatility increases, so the movements get much bigger. Whatever
yeah,
happens, if the euro goes flying, like recently we had a move on the euro. The euro has just been going crazy. It's been
yeah,
swinging massively up and then swinging massively down. We've seen volatility that's like
yeah.
3 times the usual movement. And so, yeah, I think when it comes to
Why is that? Why is that with the euro?
The euro, so it comes down to essentially right now, or historically right now, the euro has this negative interest rate situation where
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah,
people are borrowing money in euros to go buy things in US dollars or in other
yeah.
currencies, such as taking a loan for their house, or
Hmm.
business loans, or buying stocks, or just whatever, right? So people are taking
Yeah,
that, which is considered a risk off sort of currency, a
yeah,
borrow currency, and
yeah.
buying things in US dollars or Aussies or something like that. So
Mm.
what's happened with all of this craziness, for a little while we saw the reverse happen, where everybody was pulling their money off of those risk things and
Yeah,
buying back euros, which was causing the
yeah.
euro to go flying up.
Okay.
And then 2 weeks later, the Fed came out and said, we're gonna support businesses. We're gonna print a bunch of money. We're gonna do all this, and the
Yeah.
dollar went
The funny
crazy.
money the funny money came in, QE and
Right. Yeah. So and then
QE, but
we've
not called
seen,
QE.
yeah, right. So we've seen just crazy volatility in the currency market as well.
Yeah.
But what you mentioned about the stock market, yeah, I think it's an interesting topic, because there's the argument right now of, is the fear factor, is the implications that this is actually going to have on the economy, is
Mm.
it already priced in, or is it not yet fully priced in? That's the big question.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll give you my theory, then you give me yours. I think, okay, equities, for example, I'll speak from an equity standpoint. Maybe you can respond in the Forex, or if you want to talk about equities as well. But they dropped about 40% over the last month, and that's never been heard of. But this is because of the Roni. But before that, if this thing didn't happen, a recession was coming anyway. So we are seeing this sell off mainly because we're in a position where demand and supply has halted, both demand and
Yeah.
supply. No one's going to work and no one's buying anything. It's never been both before. It's always one or the other.
Right.
So
Right.
both is happening now. This hasn't even taken into consideration that a recession's coming anyway, or maybe we're in a recession. So it's a double whammy. It's the Roni has done this, but then also we got an economic recession that we're due anyway. So I just think that I don't know how further down it can go, because losing 40% of market value is quite a lot. I don't know how much more low it can go. I think we're down to 2008 levels or something like that. I don't see it going, but I still think it's going to sit at that bed for quite some time, or maybe go down a little bit more, but not too much more, because we still need to factor in a recession. That's my theory, but obviously,
Yeah. Well,
who
it's
can?
it's
Yeah, who
fair to
knows?
say. I mean, it's fair to
Yeah,
say that it could go lower, because if you look at the
yeah,
Great Depression, I think the Great Depression, the markets were down somewhere in the neighborhood of 80-85%. Think about how
yeah,
crazy that is.
yeah,
80 to
yeah,
85% of market
yeah,
value wiped off the table. I think
yeah,
it lasted 1,000 something days. So,
yeah,
still, we're only what, 35, 40, 45 days into
yeah,
this
yeah,
sort
yeah.
of situation. So it is a question, is it the same scenario? I don't know. I'm not a grand economist that
Yeah.
knows all the answers, but it is certainly a possibility that we see more downside to come.
Yeah,
But I'll give you my opinion on it.
yeah,
I
go
don't
for it.
really, when it comes to the stock market in terms
Mm,
of where I think it's going,
mm,
my real opinion, because I don't really trade stocks very much. I
yeah,
trade currencies, but I
yeah, yeah, yeah,
invest in stocks.
yeah, yeah.
When it comes to stocks, I think that in the next 10 years, 15, 20 years, it's going to go up. So I'm investing in these
Mm,
lows,
mm, mm.
and if it goes down more, I'll buy more. That's
So
kind
do
of
you
my
average down?
situation. I do when it
You
comes to
do you
investing
average
in
down?
stocks.
Okay, I got my own opinion on averaging down. And everyone hates me in my investment group that I'm in, because I got a WhatsApp group with quite a few investors, and I just my theory on averaging down is that if you don't know where the bottom is, then you're sitting in negative equity for quite a long time. But obviously, if you've got that Warren Buffett mindset, then it doesn't matter. But me personally, I hate looking at negative for like 3 4 years
Yeah.
and then going into the green. I personally like to see it begin the recovery, and then I buy, because then at least I'd rather be a little bit late. I'd rather get in a little bit after the recovery is started, rather than a year or two in before the recovery started and you're just averaging down. That's my theory.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, no, and that's a fair point. There's I guess there's signs that you can look for that could indicate that hey, this could be a bottom. We never know where the bottom is for
You
sure.
never really know.
Technically, we could have already hit it, but we don't know it, right? We don't
Yeah,
know for sure one way or the other
that's true.
until it
Yeah,
happens. And so,
yeah,
when it comes to averaging down, the thing with averaging down is you have to be careful. You can't be crazy with it, but you have to ask
yeah,
yourself, like, okay, are the companies that I'm investing in, do I see them gaining value 5, 10 years from now?
yeah, yeah,
Do they pay dividends? Because sometimes dividends can cushion some of the fall for, when you're sitting there, it's mentally a little bit
yeah,
easier to hold Disney stock, for example, is one that I own.
yeah, yeah,
Disney stock pays a dividend, and
Mm.
while it goes down, sure, it's not a lot, but
Yeah.
I'm just looking,
Something.
really the gains are going to come from the company's growth,
Yeah,
not necessarily the dividend, but the dividend just kind of just is just a perk.
sweet now. Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's true. That's true.
that's my opinion. If the market
Yeah,
goes
okay.
down,
Yeah,
if it goes
yeah.
down another 10, 20%, I would probably put more money. I recently, I don't know if you saw my video, I put a video
Yeah.
out buying the stocks that I'm buying. I shared that one recently, which actually got
Yeah.
a lot of traction. So
I haven't seen that one. I'll check it out, man.
yeah, you got to
I'll
go
check
check
it
it
out.
out.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
You
Yeah,
you might like it.
yeah, no, definitely. I'll probably repost that. That's all that real stuff. That's good.
Yeah.
Um, I was gonna ask you what resources do you think, what useful resources do you think a lot of people don't use that, or maybe one that you think that you use a lot that might be interesting nugget, no, that just to share with people. Nothing like trading view, something that everyone knows, that something that's a little nugget that you have that you think, okay, this is something that a lot of people find interesting.
It might be a tongue-in-cheek answer, but your brain. Most people don't
Don't do
use
that
it.
to me.
No, but okay, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. So many
Yeah,
people
to
are out there asking the question, like,
yeah,
what should I be doing? What should I be looking at? I learned
yeah,
most of
yeah,
what I know, not all of
yeah,
it, but a lot of what I know, and I'm sure what
yeah,
you know
yeah,
from looking at charts, from
yeah,
studying, reading,
yeah.
digging through the trenches
No one
ourselves.
wants to hear that though. Everyone wants.
Yeah.
Everyone. I want a punchline. I want
Yeah. Where's the
to.
short and sweet answer that gives me the right
Yeah,
answer? Yeah. So.
yeah. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, but no, it really is true. I would say that
Yeah,
another resource. There are, of course, a couple different websites and tools that I use.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love TradingView. I love
yeah.
forexfactory.com is a great place
Yeah,
to get
okay, cool.
news, and there's some forum posts. Sometimes those guys are actually really good. Myfxbook.com is amazing. If
Yeah, I
you're a
learned that from you
forex
actually. I
trader.
found out about that from you because I always see you. I saw what you put on your website and you posted about it, and I was like, okay, that's cool. Yeah,
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 myfxbook.com is so cool. I've actually been
yeah,
looking for an equivalent for stocks. I haven't found
yeah.
one really,
Okay,
but it's so cool because it literally can journal for you as you
everything.
go
Yeah,
along, and then you can go back and be like, oh, so I'm losing a lot of trades doing this, or I'm
yeah,
like losing most of my gains here, and I'm making most
yeah,
of my gains here. Maybe I should do more of that. You can kind
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
evaluate yourself from a
yeah.
third person perspective with those sort of
Okay,
sites.
yeah, that's awesome.
So
Yeah,
another one is
that's awesome.
FX Blue. If you're a currency trader, now if you're a
Yeah,
stock
yeah, yeah. That's
trader,
cool. Yeah, yeah,
if you're a stock trader, I think brokers have different. Like I use Webull right now, and
yeah.
which
That's big in
is
America, isn't it? Yeah,
yeah, and it's got some really really cool features. Like it's got all these different. You can see your performance. You can see,
mm,
you can. It's much better than Robinhood, which for
yeah.
Americans is. Do they have that in the UK yet?
Robinhood, yeah, they just introduced that. There was a company called Free Trade who were like who got there before Robinhood
Mm.
in the UK. They're kind of they're the first movers here, but Robinhood have opened up here. I don't think they've made much of a big impact here as Free Trade have, just because they've just got it early and cornered the market a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does the broker you offer or use offer free trading?
Free trading. See, because I spread bet.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
The way I pay is different. It's like, so
Gotcha.
I already pay off the spread of the difference between the buy and ask when I enter a spread bet. But no, ours isn't free, but it's quite cheap. And I use IG. I go on about IG, and I use it because there's so many trading platforms, especially in Europe, that have a lot of what do you call it, money maker, not money makers, but they hedge traders' bets, so
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to trade against you.
Yep.
So I was trying to find one that wasn't incentivized with me losing, because when they're incentivized for you losing, they start doing a bit of funny business on the back end.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I forgot
Yeah,
that you guys do the spread betting over there.
yeah.
I'm too stuck in my American ways.
Yeah, but you guys have pretty good options trading as well. We have that in a little bit, but it's not as big here for some reason. But I guess because spread betting's around, maybe that's why. I don't know. But I actually, since we spoke about trading view, I was going to ask you MT4 trading view. I know you made a video about it, but
Yeah.
if you had to pick one,
If I had to pick one, I would probably end up having to go with MetaTrader 4. The
yeah, I
reason
thought
I
it was
say that is because, I'm a software developer, so I've built a bunch of
yeah,
software
that's why.
tools. I'm impartial to them, and I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
love the programming on TradingView,
yeah,
so I would have to stick with MetaTrader. But I love TradingView for charting. Like if I'm doing my
yeah. It's
analysis, that's the place to be for me.
It's got sexy user interface, but MT4 is a little bit uglier, but it's got more robust backend user functionality.
Yeah, and I just love being able to custom build stuff if I want it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's kind of like why I use Pro Real Time.
Hmm.
Do you know the one that I use? Whenever a lot of people, I think that's what scares a lot of people off my page sometimes, because they see my technical analysis videos and there's so much going on. But
Yeah.
it's because I've customized it, but it's pretty cool. But same with the MT4, I like that because it's just got a lot of, you can do a lot of stuff with it. You can move the modules as you please.
Right. Yeah, definitely. No, it's super cool.
One last question I was going to ask you. What's your thoughts on oil? Um, I'm sure you saw my recent video. I went down a rabbit hole a little bit because I love this stuff about because especially with commodities like gold and oil in particular, there's so much geopolitical stuff and that goes into it's almost like a Game of Thrones when it comes to one country increasing production to screw over another country so they can destroy the shale companies in the US, all that type of stuff. I love it. I love the storyline just as much as the trading. So,
Yeah. No,
what's your thoughts on it?
it is. It's like a war. It's like a war
Yeah, yeah,
without weapons. I mean,
yeah,
it's interesting because when it comes to oil has just been absolutely decimated. I mean, it's
yeah,
just gotten disgustingly sold off. And
yeah.
the question is has it found a bottom? I know we got some bullishness come out on Friday.
Mm-mm.
I saw that rise a little bit.
Yeah,
But my opinion on oil personally, I'm by no means like a person that can really commentate on the oil market.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
not my area
yeah,
of expertise by any means. But
yeah,
I will say that I'm a big bull on Tesla and electric vehicles, and I
yeah,
love the whole lithium batteries and all the different
yeah, yeah, yeah,
changing the energy world.
yeah.
You look at things like Exxon, look at Chevron, and you even look at some of the old car companies like Ford
Mm.
and GM. I think personally that those companies are, not as they're not they don't stand to gain as much in the next 10 years, in my opinion, as something like a new energy source that's actually becoming more and
Yeah,
more affordable. So when it comes to oil, I'm not
yeah,
like a super bear because it's been incredibly sold off, and
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's
yeah,
probably a pretty good chance we see some sort of a bounce back. But I'm also not a super bull either. So
yeah. And a lot of these companies have been pivoting as well. I swear, was it Mustang said that they were going to start creating electric cars? I think it was them.
yeah,
I'm not sure. So
there's a
yeah, so I
couple
think
BMW too, and
yeah,
Ford
yeah,
is coming out with one as well. They're trying to, but the reason
yeah.
I still pick Tesla, my opinion on
Of course,
why I
yeah,
like Tesla, is because
yeah,
they're young, fast, nimble, and they can make adjustments much
yeah,
faster than the old companies
yeah,
can. Right? It's
yeah,
kind of like one of the biggest bullish cases I would say for Netflix over Disney because of Disney
mm,
Plus. It's because Netflix is fast and nimble and they're adapting to the new times of streaming platforms, whereas Disney is like they've got all this old stuff that's really good, and that's why I own Disney stock,
yeah.
but they're just so big in comparison. They're a little bit slower to adapt.
But you think Netflix still has a chance? I think. Wait, let me. Do you think next? I don't think Netflix have a chance. I think they're in trouble because
I'm not a big Netflix bull either.
yeah,
But the reason
yeah,
I
yeah.
said that is like that. To
Okay.
be fair, that comparison with Tesla
Oh,
and
yeah.
GM is
You're talking
kind of
about
similar.
agility wise, like
Yeah.
they're agile. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with you
Right.
on that. Yeah, yeah. Nick, thanks for coming on the podcast. I appreciate you coming tell everyone where you can find you and all the stuff that you're doing right now.
Sure, absolutely. So you can find me over on my YouTube page. Is probably the best way to find me. You can just look up TraderNick, one word, and you can find my YouTube channel. There's tons of free stuff. If you're interested in Forex, come hang out with us. We do live streams Monday through Friday and all that good stuff. So that's where you can find me.
Yeah, and check out the A1 Trader meme page as well, right?
Yeah, if you like memes, you can also go to our website a1trading.com.
Yeah. Okay.
That was the other place, and then we've got a meme page on Instagram which you can find.
It's pretty cool. I love it.
Yeah,
Good Forex meme.
Yeah, Will does a good job with that. So
all right, cheers, Nick.
All right,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Thanks.